good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November edition of Talk Dispatch with Tawana. Tonight, y'all, we are bringing you the one and only Miss Shay Dixon. She has some amazing information to share. It's going to be like a two-part, so y'all getting like a treat tonight to wrap y'all up for the new year. So she's definitely going to talk to y'all about branding, and we're going to talk about building those relationships with your brokers. And we're just gonna have freestyle talk tonight, ladies. So we don't want y'all to be shy. Ask y'all questions. This is your opportunity to get half of a consult for no charge. Just be mindful of everybody else in the building. You can definitely drop your questions in the chat or anything else that you need to drop in the chat. You're more than welcome, but we're gonna let Miss Shay do her intro and tell us who she is and where she's from. I call her Big Play Shay, y'all.
So yes, my name is Shay Dixon. I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia area. I moved to Georgia about 2 years ago. We founded, and I'm the CEO of Allegiant Logistics, which is a third-party logistics company based out of South Metro Atlanta. So we're in Henry County, McDonough, Georgia. We specialize in the transportation of high-value cargo, and we service the manufacturing and aerospace industries. So most of our cargo is over that $250,000 mark. So relationships are very important, and that's kind of why we spoke on these topics. We partner with carriers and dispatchers who have hot shots, flatbeds, and power only, so that have capacity in the Southeast, because we mainly service Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. So we do service both Port of Charleston as well as Savannah, but our core competencies is going to be with those flatbeds and those hot shots. So if you dispatch for either of those, I'm definitely interested in connecting with you. We chose high value cargo because the higher the freight costs, the higher they're going to pay you. When they have freight that's really expensive, they will pay you a lot of money. So compared to typical brokers, I probably move half as much freight as them and make the same amount of money as them. So I'm here to make as much money as possible while making an impact. And I hope you guys learned something this evening from me. That's me.
I think they don't learn something already.
I tried. Listen.
Yes. So Shay, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with branding. I want you to kind of, I just came off last weekend of you and Michelle's amazing seminar that you guys had about branding and LinkedIn. So I want you to tap in a little bit about branding and just how important that is, even to a small business. I run across a lot of people that think, oh, I just need my website. I don't need much. I'm just a dispatcher. But if you're trying to grow in this business, if you're trying to get exposure, just how big and how important is that branding going to be for everyone on this call?
It's everything. Branding is absolutely critical to your business. And when I say branding, I'm not talking about your logo. I'm not talking about, the colors that you use for your dispatching company or for your trucking company. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your overall brand, the value of it, what you represent, what all that entails. And a lot of people skip that step when they're starting their business plan, right? They don't think about what their brand is. The main reason why all of you do business or have purchased Tawana's course or attended the Leading Ladies Convention is because they have very clear branding. They've promoted the same thing from the very beginning, that they have very clear messaging. You know what they stand for in the beginning and what their goals are, right? And a lot of times as logistics providers, we skip right over that. And for me, I didn't have the opportunity to do that. When I first started my business, because I specifically picked a high value cargo and a specific type of commodity that was kind of niche. And honestly, anywhere I go in aerospace, whether it's on Zoom webinars, whether it's anything, I'm the only Black woman in the room ever. There's rarely ever even any Black men, because they're operating at a higher level and a higher standard. So a lot of times what I see is when we get into the business, we pick a really dope, graphic logo with all the colors, and that's where it stops, right? Or you guys get a website and you have a website up and running, or you set up your social media, but it stops there. And it's a lot more that goes into it. So for me, my first aerospace customer, I was able to land them because I utilized LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn for everything. All my prospecting, I don't cold call for anything. So that, as dispatchers, that applies to you as well, right? Because if you're looking to connect with those shippers and you're trying to get direct contracts, whether you're a transportation company yourself or you're a dispatcher, you want to utilize those professional platforms. Instagram is great, right? Instagram is great for you to source carriers. But if you're looking for freight and you're looking to connect with brokers who are kind of operating and do business not transactional. And what I mean is there's two types of brokers, right? You're looking for you're going to have either the transactional broker or you're going to have somebody that's looking for a relationship. And branding plays a large part of that first impression, right? Because as soon as I'm contacted by any dispatcher, any carrier, I'm searching you on Google. If you're going to carry a $1.5 million airplane part for me, I need to know that you're a viable business, that you guys know what you're talking about, that you know what you're doing, right? And those things are really important. Everything that you do is based on how you feel about a brand, whether you purchase something, whether you use someone's services, it's all based on your perception of their brand. The funny thing is, a lot of times the perception that people put out there of their brand is not always accurate. And that's where the relationship and doing your due diligence comes in. But the brand is what will get you in the door. And that's what got me in the door with every single one of my aerospace customers. Okay. So I want you guys to think beyond a logo. Branding is more than just your outer appearance. It's clarity, right? It's knowing your target audience. It's knowing exactly what your USP is or your unique selling proposition. The hardest thing for me is when dispatchers reach out to me and I say, hey, well, what lanes do you specialize? All of them. I do reefer, drive-in, power only, flatbed, hot shots, all over the US. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Fill out a carrier packet. And I never talk to that person again because you're not clear on what you do, who you serve, and what type of freight. You cannot master it all, especially if you're new in the business. If you're under 10 years serving in this business, it's very challenging to master all areas. So when you guys are thinking of branding, I want you to think more about it's who you are, what your values are, and it develops the perception that other people have of you. Did you have a question about that, Tawana? Because I know everybody always says, hey, I want you to do my branding. And I said, well, what exactly do you want me to do? And they said, I want a new logo. I want a new website. And branding is how you position and use words and visual items to showcase your business, right? When you guys see Tawana's colors, you know it's Gold Star, right? You guys recognize that she's built brand trust and value by keeping things consistent for you. We have to go back to that and make sure that we're leading with clear messaging and consistency beyond just our logos.
Absolutely. You definitely said a mouthful. Let's kind of touch on the LinkedIn for a minute. We had our webinar last month with Miss Michelle, who is dope.
Yes.
As far as LinkedIn profiles. So I am 1,000% fan of LinkedIn. LinkedIn has literally changed my business. I spend more time on LinkedIn than I do on any social media platform. A lot of time people are, say, oh, I seen you on, you be on Instagram at 2:00 in the morning. It ain't me, y'all. Her name is Maria. She lives in the Philippines, and that's what time she posts. Okay.
Right.
So, I have somebody that handles that type of stuff for me. But as far as LinkedIn, I'm in LinkedIn. I'm tuned in. I have gotten shippers. I've gotten brokers reach out to me just by the content that I'm putting on LinkedIn. So, social media is great as far as like, Instagram and Facebook and things like that. But we got to step out a little bit and realize that you're running a business. You're running a business and not a hustle. So if anybody's ever took my class, I always talk about that. I always talk about positioning yourself to be a business. You should not have a Gmail. You should not have a Yahoo and a Hotmail email address. Invest in your business, and your domain name is definitely a part of your brand.
It most certainly is. And it's $12 to purchase a domain. You literally can go to Google and type in Google domains. You can type in whatever you want your domain to be and purchase it right there. It's $12 for the whole entire year. And then while you're in there, you can click add a professional email. It's $6 a month. And now you've got a professional email and domain that you own that no one can take from you. That's your business name, right? LinkedIn is an awesome platform to professionally establish yourself because a lot of times people can't use your business or use your dispatching services, whatever you offer, your compliance service, they can't use your service if they can't find you. And what I'm realizing is that a lot of you, I see a lot of you on Instagram. I see a lot of you sharing so much information. A lot of you have a lot of knowledge, but the wrong people are receiving that information, right? You're building an audience with the wrong people. The brokers and people that you want to know that you're knowledgeable and an expert are on LinkedIn, because that's where I'm fine. I'm connecting with freight forwarders and dispatchers on LinkedIn. I rarely connect with a dispatcher on Instagram. And if I do, they don't have any capacity, right? They're looking for dry owner ops to represent. Most of the dispatchers, brokers that actually have freight are on LinkedIn. And those are the companies that have really good freight, not the freight that you find on the DAT load board, the freight that it's contracted, that someone's uncle grew up and was a frat brother with so-and-so's uncle, and now they're running 100 lanes a week. And I only have 5 of them, but John has 100 of them. And John's on LinkedIn, like, where are the carriers at? And we're missing those opportunities because we're not in the same platform and same areas. Part of that as well is that you have to connect, engage. Like for us, we connect, engage with Truck and Hustle because that's the platform that we know, right? It's somebody, you know, everybody knows Ramel, everybody knows Truck and Hustle. However, there's a lot of other platforms that you can tap into to be able to get those resources and those relationships, right? Sometimes LinkedIn is a great place to search for those platforms, right? To find those people on freight waves that are doing interviews and things of that nature. I landed another customer from doing a 5-minute interview on freight waves. The guy from freight waves found me because I was posting on LinkedIn, right? And so, yeah, and I got over 50 carriers that day, and I landed 2 customers. One didn't work out because, you know, he was weird, but the other one worked out, and it's still a customer I have now. And those opportunities that's free. It doesn't cost you anything. All it costs is for you to be prepared. And so by prepared, I mean, you really have to take the time and figure out, okay, who is my target audience, right? We talk about niches all the time, right? I have a niche, it's this equipment, this commodity. When I talk to people all the time, they're like, I don't want to niche down. I want to be able to get anybody. I want to have anybody. That's great in the beginning when you're starting, right? When you're starting, sometimes you have to figure out, listen, I only started off doing reefer freight. That was my core area. And I decided when I left working as a broker agent that I didn't want to touch reefer freight anymore. I wanted to only do flatbed freight and only do power only freight. That was my personal choice. But I did that, and it was easier for those shippers to find me and to find my brand because I utilized that specific niche, and I use those in my hashtags on Instagram and on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great info, great info. So when it comes down to your pages, how important is it to be sure that you're separating your business from your personal?
It's extremely important. There's so many instances that I've had shippers tell me, oh, did you have fun in Miami? Excuse me? What do you mean? Oh, I saw on your Instagram that you were in Miami. I'm like, oh, okay, glad I only posted part of it. But these shippers are regular people like us. They really are. It's like your uncle, it's like your cousin. They're regular people like us. So just like when I'm doing a consult with somebody, I'm on Google, I'm on Facebook, I'm trying to research them, see who they are, see what they're about, see what their values are, what their morals are. People are doing that. These procurement officers, whether it's government contracts or whether it's someone who's just the traffic manager, They are looking to see who you are, especially if you are bidding long-term, because remember, you might get a spot lane, you might secure some spot freight, you might get a relationship, but after that, the goal is to get those dedicated lanes, right? To get in those bids. And in order to do that, those people are going to be looking up who you are. Your personal and your professional need to be separate, especially if you live a more eccentric lifestyle, right? So if you like to party and do what you do, that's fine. Just don't do it on your business page, right? I don't want to come to your business page and see, and this should be a this should be something that's like everybody knows, but it's not, right? So this is what I always put as a standard, as a level of decorum, because I check myself too. I'm like, oh, is that a little too much? Like, you always have to remember, if you were going in front of a panel or two or three people to pitch your business for $1 million contract, is the content you're posting going to deter them from selecting you? And that's what I'm always doing, because my goal is to secure those $1 million contracts. So everything I'm posting, I'm thinking like, oh, could this, be a little too much? Could this be a little too, and you have to keep that in mind, even as a dispatcher, because you're representing the carriers. I've had dispatchers reach out to me. I have an email right now from an email that says Big Booty Judy for you. And that's her email. Big Booty Judy for you. That's her email. And she said, oh, I'm just dispatching for my cousin. Do y'all have this load still? No, ma'am, I do not. No, ma'am, I do not. Right. And your email might not be that crazy, but as a broker, when you contact me as a dispatcher, I automatically think you're double brokering my freight. If I don't know you, my automatic thing is I'm trying to make sure you actually represent the carrier. It's the holidays. You're not trying to steal my freight. And I'm trying to make sure that you know what you're doing, because I don't want to work with a dispatcher that doesn't know what she's doing, because that puts my freight at risk and my business at risk, right? And all of that comes down to how you present yourself and how you put yourself forward. So definitely separate the personal and business, Tawana, like you do, because I do too. Or try to.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Does anybody have any questions? What do you guys think about? How is your branding going? Have you gone any further than your logos and your website? Where are you at branding? What do you feel like you need help with in branding? Now's your chance. What's your questions? Let's hear from you.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Mute right, don't be afraid. This is your time.
Don't be afraid. Yeah, because I charge
$250 an hour.
Thank you. So ask away, because no one just taught me, right? I did this through trial and error. I messed up a lot and I saw what worked and what didn't. That's it. Like, no one was like, hey, this is how you navigate the logistics space as a woman. When I first got started, everybody was like, oh, she's cute. That's it. They were just like, she's cute. I'm like, I'm smart. I've been in this industry for almost 15 years. I know what I'm doing. I can out negotiate, outbid anybody, the next man. But I had to prove that. And as women, unfortunately, especially as Black women in this space, we have to prove that we're educated, that we know what we're talking about. And one way that we do that is through our branding, because they are judging us from the moment we show up, from the moment we sit at the table. They're automatically thinking she doesn't know what she's talking about, or she's ignorant. Honestly, that's what these people that sit across from us are thinking. So you have to be one step ahead, because I come in the room like, baby, I know exactly what I'm talking about. My brand backs me. My knowledge backs me. I can do the same thing that John can do, probably better and more efficient. Can I have these loads, right? And you have to have your brand to stand on that. So I'm sorry, Charlene, I think you had a question and I interrupted you. My bad.
No, I am so enjoying this. I'm a nurse, so I'm in between listening to you. I so thank you for this. And I am going to do LinkedIn. Thank you for this. You guys are super awesome. It's super informative. Just wanted to let you know that this is super helpful. So thank you.
Listen, I know it's scary because people are always like, oh, what's branding? But listen, when I first started, I didn't have a whole lot of money to dump into my business. I was like, listen, I got to figure this out on my own. I used Canva for everything. I used Canva for everything in my brand. right? Every single thing, my banners, everything. I used Canva because it was free. I used the free version until I could pay for the $12.99 version because I wasn't trying to spend any money until I started making money in my business. For anybody that, is at the point like, oh, I can't invest in it. Listen, you can do it yourself. You can come up with a brand strategy yourself. I created some worksheets if you guys want to get them when this is over with to help you go through it. But just know, if you get real serious about figuring out and discovering not only what you do, but who you are and what you represent, it'll be really easy to position your brand going forward. And yes, what is the first step to branding after you have a logo? So the first step, I have a worksheet that's called a brand clarity sheet. So there's 7 to 10 questions on there that you need to ask yourself when you're first getting started. And those questions are even more than a business plan, right? It's like, what's your actual goal? Where do you see your brand, right? Who are you trying to serve, right? What exactly are you offering and how are you offering it? Many people overlook their unique selling proposition. So mine for Allegiant Logistics is that I specialize in high value cargo. I have the insurances and the knowledge, the expertise, and my team is equipped to move your freight with excellence, right? So I know when I'm talking to somebody, the value I add is that I specialize. Like, look, I can move your cheap freight too, if you put a all right price on it. But my specialty is high value cargo. And so I'm telling them, look, I have capacity in these areas. And I feel like sometimes as dispatchers, you guys skip over that. What makes you different, right? What other value added services? So for my customers, I'm like, do you need additional, or is there anything else? Do you need a bonded warehouse to store your airplane part in? What else is there that you need? I'm always positioning myself as the expert and the go-to solution provider for my shipper. So as dispatchers or compliance specialists or logistics consultants, you have to figure out and develop what is your specific unique selling proposition. So what makes you different than any other dispatcher, right? Every day there's a new dispatcher, and I need you to be able to articulate that. So the first step is to purchase my worksheets and use the worksheets. But if you want to do it on your own, it's get really clear about what your brand is, determine who your target audience is, okay? Determine what that USP or that unique selling proposition is, right? Develop your messaging. And by messaging, I mean, Tawana, what do you specialize in? What does Gold Star do? You're on mute.
So sorry. We specialize in freight dispatching and compliance.
That's correct. So when Tawana talks to people, she always says, we're a full service dispatch company, right? She lets people know, look, I'm not just booking loads for you. Get really specific about what makes you different than every other dispatcher, because that's what's going to make people sell. I get all types of dispatchers. So we have trucks too. So I have dispatchers reach out to me all the time, and I dispatch my own trucks. And the only reason I do that is because I like a certain amount of money. And if people can't keep up with it, I would rather do it myself. That's me. 5,500 to the day cab a week. I'm ranging anywhere from 11 to 12 a week on the sleeper. Okay. So it's hard for me to outsource that, being that a lot of times I'm moving my own freight and doing dispatching in between. But I get dispatchers that reach out to me all the time, and I ask them, I'm like, well, what makes you different? And no one can ever tell me what makes them different. And so you have to develop it could be one thing. You offer insurance, you do billing, you do collections, whatever you do, whatever you're good at, find that and focus on that and incorporate that into your messaging for your business. Okay. That clear messaging is very instant. I've said high value cargo 4 times. By the end of this call, when you guys think of my business or me, you always think, oh, that's the girl that does the high value cargo, right? Mm-hmm. Saying those things over and over again, it takes someone 7 times to hear something that you say about your brand or business for them to start perceiving it as reality. So when you speak those things, you say, I dispatch, I specialize in hot shots. keeping your hotshot moving, because most of the hotshot dispatchers I find they can't keep the truck moving. They'll move it every couple days, and then in between it's it's a little challenging, and that's why I focused on obtaining more hotshot freight, because there's so many hotshot carriers that don't have access to really good freight. Okay. And the last thing I would say, after you've gotten really clear about your USP, your target audience, what your brand represents, and your messaging, I would develop a very specific content strategy. Tawana and I don't post just to post. I post with a strategy every time. I'm either trying to get you to trust me, or I want you to know what my journey is, or I want you to be aware of my brand, or I want you to follow the page. Have some type of strategy for your posting. In the Position to Win worksheets, I put what my exact content strategy is. It's really important, whether you're on LinkedIn or Instagram, don't just post pictures and stuff randomly. Write down the days of the month. You could do a simple strategy. Put your top 5 goals, right? You want carriers to use your dispatch services. You want brokers to utilize you. You want people to know a little bit behind the scenes about who you are as a business owner. You want people to know what you specialize in. You want to share your expertise. Those are 5 different things. Each day of the week, share something related to that to get people to know who you are. That's what builds that brand trust and awareness. So it's not just developing a strategy to position your brand. It's after you do that. And for those of you on the call that already have an amazing, like Fatima, I love your background, your backdrop. I love that, because this whole thing, the whole time, that's what I keep seeing. And so I'm drawn to it. I'm like, okay, that's different. That's you. You're automatically letting people know where you stand culturally. I put God first in everything, and I say it on everything. So don't come to me if you want to talk anything different. I let it know. So when my customers are like, oh God, I'm like, whoa, hold on, Lord, that's him. I ain't got nothing to do with that. And I represent that in my brand, so people know, right? Because then you're going to only attract clients and people that already know where you stand, right? That's a part of your brand strategy, right? Because you want to attract people that are similar, that are like-minded. Those are going to be the best people to do business with. My clients are all the same as me. Most of them are married. If they're not, most of them believe in God, or they believe in something. There's some type of religion. And they're in the Southeast. Like, I have a very specific target audience for my shippers and even for my consulting clients. Okay. So you're going to appeal to them in your messaging, in the words you say, right? So you have to know who that target person is before you can even write clear messaging. Are you talking to, like, is your target a driver? Are you trying to look for older drivers that are more experienced, that aren't being appreciated, that you're looking for somebody to feel like family, that are, who is your target audience? That you have to get really clear about that. So I hope that answered your question. Whoever had the question about the branding and logo colors. I know it was a lot.
Great info, great info. Any other questions? You guys are good. Your brand is great. Go ahead, Fatima.
I don't have a question because I'm still new and I'm still trying to get a hold of everything brand wise, how to get myself out there. I do have a carrier at the moment, and he is a hotshot. So just by working with the hotshot, I feel like that might be something I would like to get into more. And maybe myself start off with a hotshot for my own company. So I don't really have a question. I'm just like, I want to listen to the information that because I wouldn't know what to ask unless I'm doing it. That's just how I kind of operate. So I wouldn't have a question specifically to say, but I did download that LinkedIn and I did start doing the profile.
Yes.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just fill out something. I'm just trying to get familiar with it, because this is This is like a whole nother language to me right now.
It is, but you'll get it. You'll get it. But just a little tip on what you say. So if if you want to focus on hot shot, your job is to learn every single thing you need to know about a hot shot. You want to learn what type of equipment is it? Does he have a Dodge? Does he, whatever type of equipment he has, what type of ramp does he have? Does he have a 35 foot, a 40 foot? Can he take cars? Is he CDL, non-CDL? Your job is to learn everything about what a hot shot can carry and what brokers have hot shot freight, and understand hot shot can kind of like dibble into the flatbed area as well. So if that's going to be your niche, that's going to be your specialty, then your job is to understand everything you need to know about a hot shot, what loads can go on a hot shot, who drives a hot shot, what areas are good on hot shots, and anything that has anything to do with it. So do as much research as you possibly can so that can become your niche, that can become your specialty. So when you're out there and you're advertising, people understand that, okay, Fatima is really good with hot shots, go to her for hot shots. And that's how you're advertising yourself. That's how you're branding yourself. So focus on that. Not saying, that you don't have other vehicles that you're going to want to dispatch for in the future. But, anybody that's taking my training, I always tell you to find 1 or 2 vehicles that you're going to work with at first. You cannot come into the business and just say, oh, I'm brand new, I'm just going to take whoever want me to dispatch for, I'm going to take it. One, you don't accept every single client that comes your way. Anybody that knows me will know. I do an onboarding call, and then if the relationship does not fit, I let you know that this, Gold Star Logistics may not be a company that, can dispatch for you. You can go elsewhere. Okay. And then from there, you're understanding what your services are, what you can provide, and you're growing your services from there. Not saying that you're always going to just stick with hot shots. You may, go into heavy hauling. You may go into, different types of flatbeds and, different things like that. But learn your specialty, understand what it means to be a hot shot dispatcher, and understand if someone comes to you, if that's going to be your thing, if someone comes to you with a question about hot shot, you need to be able to answer it, whether it's a question about equipment, whether it's a question about insurance, everything that's surrounding that vehicle and that equipment is your assignment. That's your assignment to go into the new year, understanding that this is how I want to start my niche off. And it's easier that way. It's easier that way than you just say, oh, I'm gonna dispatch for dry vans, reefers, hot shots, dump trucks, tricycles, whatever. No, you got to focus on one thing, because if you're coming into the business brand new and you're trying to focus on every single piece of equipment, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So you got to decide what it is that you're going to start out with. How are you going to start your business, and then go from there. Hope that helps.
Yes. And, a lot of doing the hot shot freight can be trivial, because a lot of times hot shot freight is really LTL freight, that they're just moving on a hot shot because they don't have capacity for a flatbed. And you have to focus on specific commodities that are going to be light enough and that are going to fit and get the most value. So definitely, I will tell you that Alabama we do very well with hot shot freight in Alabama. So if you guys are looking for a good place to start, Alabama is the place. Also, Florida is always going to be a great place to start for hot shot freight. Anywhere near a port would actually be great, and anywhere that has a lot of steel manufacturing, because steel sheets can go in a hot shot. And when they're when it's raw material before it's been turned into a coil or anything else like that, they tend to pay top dollar for it, and they want it done quickly. So.
Yeah. And when you're reaching out to these brokers and building your relationships with these brokers, understand the equipment. Okay. Just like I say, with all box trucks or any type of equipment, all equipment is not created equal. So you can't say, oh, it's a box truck. It's 26 feet. It can take 10,000 pounds. That's totally untrue. Okay. You have to understand, maybe one hot shot is 10,000, one may be 17, one may be 20, one may have a CDL driver, one may have a non-CDL driver. So when you're pitching yourself to these brokers and you're calling these brokers, hey, I have a hot shot available. He has a 35-foot trailer with ramps. He has straps, chains, tarps, blah, blah, blah. And you're asking him, hey, do you have any loads available, anything coming out? Or if not, do you mind adding me to your list of loads that you have pushing out this week? So understand your equipment. It's easier easier for you to go to a broker because that broker is going to ask you those questions. You
All
know,
of them.
yeah, you know, so if you're like, hold on, let me call them. No, that one phone call is your opportunity. You get all that information out right then. That's your opportunity to secure that broker as your relationship, secure his lows and get all the information. So every single thing you need to know about that hot shot needs to be relayed to that broker on that very first phone call.
And
Okay.
hot shot freight, just like really good box truck freight, most of my freight does not make it to the load board because my hot shot carriers are like, oh, I'll get a load going out there. I'll deadhead for for $4.50 a mile. I'll deadhead and go get that. You know, it's only 500 miles. I'll be there tomorrow. You know, so the relationship's really important. And you have to remember, like, it's everyone is getting into the space where they're getting box trucks and hot shots because you don't have to have a CDL. So there is a large saturation of it right now. So if you are going to specialize in that, you have to provide a solution and come with it. Like, look, my carrier is able to do this. They're able to do this. They're on time. They're this. Because that's what's going to set you apart from all of the other 50 million people that are reaching out to those brokers for that same freight. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I have one more question.
ask away.
I kind of didn't want to talk about it because I was waiting for, I guess, good information. But I was reached out by a fellow brother who saw my logo and contacted me. So I knew we were brother in faith, brother and sister in faith. He contacted me and he seemed to be in a situation that he previously had, and he's trying to, I guess, get out of it and find a new dispatcher. And he told me he had 4 hot shots and 4 box trucks. And he's been in the business for 11 years with his father, who's been 11 years in it, and his authority is coming up on 1 year. I don't really know the situation. I haven't really gotten back to speak to him to, figure out and see how maybe I can, be of good service and help him the best way that I can so he can, we can work together and grow together. What should be the questions that I should be asking him to find out and see if we can come up with a solution to the issues that he's having at the moment?
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that you can handle 4 hot shots and 4 box trucks off the rip?
I don't think that, I don't want to say I don't. I don't want to say I can't handle it. I'm the type of person, if I got something to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm gonna figure out how to do it. I'll get the help if I need. I do have help with some other friends of mine who, I'm pretty sure will be willing to help as well. But I really want to help this carrier, even if I can, pass on the box trucks to my fellow friends, and I just deal with his hot shots because I feel like hot shots to me has been interesting. I've just been watching other people and they're explaining their experience with hot shots, and I'm like, ooh, I need
It's
to
good
find
money.
out. I need to, right, I need to find out, more and trying to do my due diligence with the hot shot carrier that I do have, and he has 1. So I do want to help him, and I do want to see if I can, figure out a solution to best get everything in line for him. That's if he, signs my carrier packet and we're able to work together. I mean, not my carrier, but my agreement. But I don't know necessarily what to ask him, being as though that he's been doing this for years. So, he's looking for $2 per mile. And I'm like, okay, with the experience that he has, I just want to be able to help him the best way that I can if we are able to work together.
Well, that's low. So that means his bar is low. That's good. Because then you can exceed his expectations. So I would say the main 3 things. So I dispatch for 2 other companies and I don't offer dispatching services. Don't tell anybody I dispatch. I'm not dispatching, but they're family friends. But I will tell you this, before I start dispatching for anybody, I try to figure out what's his expectation. So what is he looking to make? What is he currently making? What is his issues right now with his current dispatcher? If he's having issues, he might be the problem. It might not be the current dispatcher. So you need to determine what are those issues, and is it something you can actually, is it an actual issue, or does he not know how to work with people, right? Or is he not clearly communicating all of that? And you'll know by, if you ask him, well, what's your issue with your current dispatcher? And if he can't communicate it right, it's probably him. And then three,
Actually, he told me what the issue was.
okay.
And he said he's kind of losing a lot of money because the current dispatcher wasn't doing broker checks and stuff like that. He just gave me a little bit of what the issue was. And, he said he just wants to make sure he's doing it
Those are
the right
valid
way.
issues.
Yeah,
Right.
those are valid issues. Yeah.
Right. So he said he want to make sure he's doing it the halal way and not the haram way. And that's meaning doing it the right way and not the wrong way in Arabic.
Okay.
So, I do understand, because me and my husband, we really try to do things the right
The
way.
right way. Yeah.
And I just want to see if I can help him out. And if I'm able to, then that'll be great, and I'm all for the learning and getting all the experience, because for some reason it seems like that's where my interest is starting to look into.
Well, for me, I would have someone assist you with the box trucks, get someone who specializes in box trucks, because it's two different sets of freight. It's going to require two different levels of relationship, two different broker relationships, two different things. So if you're going to go with the hot shots, get someone else to assist you with the box trucks. And I would start with one truck at a time, adding on. So start with that one hot shot, pull it away from the dispatcher that's moving the other ones, and build onto that and start adding them in there. So before you even do anything, right now would be the perfect time to start finding brokers who have hot shot freight. If you go on Instagram and type hashtag hot shot, or on LinkedIn and do hashtag hot shot, you will find brokers who do it. Start inboxing them, telling them who you are. Hey, I have carriers, I have capacity for you, love to get set up. What's your process? And at least talk with them now. So even if you're not moving freight for him until a couple weeks from now, they know who you are. They know what you represent. They know that you're out there. Tawana, I don't know if you have anything on that.
Yeah, I just want to kind of piggyback on what you said. One, definitely understand your ability. For me, when I got to the point where I was dispatching probably like 12 trucks at one time. And it got to the point where it was like from 5 a.m. till like sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. So when it got to that point for me, I was like, I need help. I need to find someone else to assist me, because the main thing is every single carrier that you have needs to have the same exact customer service. So, whether it's, a guy with 4 trucks or a guy with just 1 truck, the same service you're going to give to that one customer, you have to be able to give that same service. And for me, I wasn't doing that. It got to the point where I was lacking because I was spending so much time over here. Then I forgot about this guy. So it was like, okay, this can't happen. I got to bring it down a little bit and adjust so that I know that I'm only servicing what I can service at the time. And then set your expectations. What are your expectations? We seem to think as dispatchers, as courier consultants, that we do not work for a carrier. We're all independent contractors. We don't work for that carrier. So you can have your expectations. If he is not meeting your expectations, or if you feel like during that onboarding call, this relationship is not going to be for you, let it go. Let it go. More business is going to come in. Don't be afraid to turn that business away. Okay. Set your expectations. If your expectations are, you have to communicate, we need to be able to talk every morning at such and such time. I don't want you working with any other dispatcher, whatever your expectations are. If he does not meet your expectations, then he's not a client for you. Okay. And then again, like I said, just be sure that you can service this client. Be sure that what it is that he has, what his expectations are, that you can service that client. And once you understand what your expectations are and what his expectations are, you be sure that that's a good match for you. If it's a good match for you, you go for it. You have that communication with your carrier. Also have communication with all those drivers as well. Because 9 times out of 10, the drivers are the ones that you have to deal with the most. You have to call them for checks. You have to call them to track. You have to deal with those drivers. So that relationship with the drivers as well as the fleet owners is as important as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone had a question. They said, how do you negotiate rates without a broker? I quoted a guy $2.50 a mile, and he said he can move it cheaper. So I'm assuming, Tamara, that you quoted a shipper directly. Is that correct? Yes.
Tamara,
Yeah.
turn your mic on.
Yes. Okay. So, two things. One, when somebody ever comes back to me and says they can move it for cheaper, I say, well, implore you to do so, right? I don't go down on my rates unless I start high. So two things. One, when you're giving a when you're giving a shipper a rate directly, always give them a rate about 50 cents to $1 higher than where you actually want to be. So if your rate, you wanted to be at $2.50 a mile, I would have gave him $3.25. He would have said, oh, I can move it for cheaper. Well, I want to get this moved. I value the relationship with you. The best I can do is $2.50. If he comes back and still says he can move it for cheaper, then you say, all right, well, I wish you the best. Let me know if you don't get it moved, that and I'll requote you. Because what happens is it's a game. It's a game for these shippers to get the lowest person to do freight with. Also, those type of shippers are not necessarily the people you want to build relationships with. Those are transactional shippers, and those shippers are going to go with the cheapest. They're going to listen when you get stuck somewhere and you have detention. They're like, we're not paying detention. We're not doing. Those are the type of people that you get who are going to nickel and dime you. Now, if he would have came back and said, hey, I normally move this for $2. Can you make $2.25 work? That's negotiation. But when they come back and don't even give you the opportunity to say anything back, he's not interested in negotiating. He's interested in getting the cheapest rate. So I count it a wash and move on to the next one. That's what I would do personally. We have a couple people. Yeah, I was going to say a couple people have their hands raised. Yeah, hey.
Hi, this is Jackie. Hi. I have a question, and I'm glad that you brought this up because it's been burning. I've been prior to coming into this industry, I was a financial advisor. So my base on LinkedIn is heavy with financial. So I did the Canva, but I purchased the package. And so I did the branding because they allow you to do that. So I changed the branding on my LinkedIn, but I do have a big base. So what I'm trying to figure out is, how do I try to start to shift that to start connecting with more of the shippers and the brokers? Because I do have a lot of financial people there.
So the financial people are good too. They'll interact with your content. So it's not bad. It's just adding on to what you're doing. I love your branding. I love your LinkedIn. It's very clear that you're in logistics. It's very clear that what you do is transportation. So, I just connected with you. I would focus on, you have over 500 followers, which is good, so you've positioned yourself. I would focus on going to people like Tawana, myself, Shaq, some of the people that you see in the industry. Go onto our LinkedIn under connections and start connecting with the people on our pages that are in logistics. That is the quickest and easy way, because they'll follow you back because they're going to be curious. And then when you build your content strategy, the first week of you posting content, talk about how finances affect logistics and talk about your financial experience. So for instance, I remember working in corporate and how important it was to understand the financial background of this. Well, now as running my dispatch and logistics services, I often help my carriers understand their overall financial picture, how to keep their revenue. Like that can be a USP for you because you understand that financial background. Now you can add those value-added services. So even if you don't offer that to your carriers, you can communicate that in your messaging. So people know not only are you well-versed in finance, wow, she knows logistics. So I would just find ways to tie in money and finance until you can get to the place where enough logistics people are connecting with you and you can talk solely about logistics. So I was the same way. Trust me, I did logistics and then I went into finance for several years. I worked for Navy Federal, doing collections and bankruptcies. And so it was something completely different than logistics. So when I went back, people were like, wait, aren't you working? I'm like, yes, but I'm using this experience. So talk about your previous experiences and how they're translating now.
And thank you for that, because I find that, because one of the things that I did, because when I took my program with Tawana, and she said that box trucks is one of the hardest, but it's the one that you need to learn. And it just kind of fell on me where I'm learning it because everybody's buying a box truck. But one of the greatest struggle that I'm having is, again, understanding when I see people are saying, I want to make this, I'm like, well, how about I help you to understand your break even, because you don't know. And that is, I think I'm struggling there, because it's like, I want to shake them because they're just, I can't somehow relate that to them, that it's important before you start moving to understand where is your profit line. We've got to understand the bottom line. And I just feel like I just want to clean house and get rid of them and start over and add some different people.
But that's okay. Do you know, that's okay. That's your choice. It's your business model. I only have one of the customers that I originally started with. The other three, I let them go because I realized this is not going to work for my business model. The way I'm setting up my business model, this is not going to work. So sometimes it's scary, but sometimes you have to let go of the okay for really good. And I'm going for really good. I'm not going anything beneath what I actually deserve in my business.
Right.
And when you operate in that way, you'll get carriers that are at the same
and I'm not
level.
even scared because of the background I have. That's what I did. You know, you always had to kind of revamp your book. I think I'm more like wanting to shift away from the dispatching. I think that's the fight in my head. Like, I feel like I have more that I can offer, and I'm trying to figure out.
That can definitely be that. You can definitely use dispatching as a starting point,
as a stepping
like
stone.
You want to use your financial background to help people figure out their break even, to help them be able to run their trucking companies more efficiently. Then that may be your niche. Maybe it's not just you stopping just at dispatching. I tell my dispatchers all the time, 9 times out of 10, the carriers that are coming into this business are brand new. They just Googled something or they saw somebody on IG and they know nothing. So it's your job to educate these carriers and kind of steer them in the right direction. It's your job to make them understand. I had one today said something about, he keeps seeing something in he kept getting these emails from FMC as they talking about an audit, but he didn't think that was for him, so he threw it away. What? And trying to figure out why is MC not active. Okay, they just don't know. They just don't know. So maybe that's your niche. Maybe dispatching is just your stepping stone to gear you and prepare you to, be more of an assistance and more help, with these carriers in another direction.
Okay.
Correct. So maybe
you're not getting rid of your finance background. Maybe you're utilizing that to help you, as a stepping stone to incorporate that into logistics.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So we have quite a few questions. Yeah, I was going to say Sandy actually had her hand up before everybody did.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Sandy. So Miss Sandy Cooper.
Hey.
Hello. I had a question while you were on the hot shot side. I'm actually an auto carrier, and I do hot shots, but I mainly used to get my loads from auctions, so I didn't really do necessarily the load board stuff. Now that I'm trying to transition over to dispatching, I find it challenging on the load board. So if I want to go in that direction, dispatching for hot shots, where do I go?
Yeah, it's going to be the load boards. There's so many different load boards, but really it's people post hot shot freight as flatbed freight a lot. So if you know the weights and dimensions, it's sometimes thinking outside the box. I rarely post it as a hot shot load. I'll post it as a flatbed load just because I'm in there quick. And when I'm doing it, I'm, not thinking, and a lot of people do that. So I would start with the load boards, and you can call on the load boards and ask them, can this go on a hot shot? That's the first thing. A lot of people call me like, hey, can this go on a hot shot? I'm like, well, actually it can, and so I would start there. Do you have anything on that, Tawana?
Yeah, definitely the same thing. The same thing I tell people when it comes to box trucks. You see those van loads. When you're doing your search and you're like under 10,000, 26 feet, those loads can potentially be for a box truck. Your job is to understand the vehicle that you're dispatching for. So when you call that broker, you're saying, hey, I see you have this load posted. It's 6 feet. It's 5,000 pounds. What's the dimensions on it? What's the highest pallet? And from there, you need to understand what's the clearance of this box truck that you're dispatching for. Same thing with the hot shot. How long is their trailer? So if you're looking at something and it's 45 feet long and you know that your person's trailer is only 40 feet, then this is not a load for you. But if you see something that it kind of, think that it fits, it hurts nothing to call that broker and help him to understand that, hey, this can fit on my vehicle. This can go on my vehicle. Okay. When it comes to the car hauling type side of the hot shots, reach out to these dealerships, CarMax, Nissan. Those are where you're going to get a lot of your business. They bring cars in all the time. Reach out to them directly and figure out and have that understanding on how they do it, how they get people to bring in their cars. And so I know CarMax does a lot. I used to have a contact. I'll try and find it, but I used to have a contact for the guy at CarMax. But they did it a lot. Hell, my car was imported from somewhere else. So you just have to understand, understand the vehicle you're dispatching for, and then, do that, make that search option on the load board to understand, this may fit when you're looking at those loads. Make sure you have those, your search criteria is in, make sure you have your dimensions in, and make sure you understand every single thing about that vehicle. How much weight can it hold? How long is the trailer? Is the driver a CDL or a non-CDL? That's definitely going to play a big part in it. So as long as you have all the information, sometimes you can convince a broker that you can take this trailer. I had one the other day. It was searched under VH for van hot shot. It was 2 lawnmowers, but they were looking for a drive-in. Didn't need a drive-in. It was able to go on this guy's hot shot. And the broker was like, all right, I'll put it on the hot shot. Can you get it there with, it was only like 400 miles. So it didn't need any tarping. It just needed some chaining and strap down, and it was good to go. So you have to remember.
And some of these agents are new, so they don't know either, right? They're posting the freight. They're trying to just get the freight covered, and they're trying to figure it out too. So there's definitely an opportunity to educate them as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Kim Rosebud.
Hi, I have a question. I'm really actually just confused about what I need to do. I'm actually invested in a freight agent class, and then now I just purchased a class for dispatching. But in the past, I currently work in healthcare, and I'm just really over it. And I used to, in the past, dispatch for an auto transport, car hauling. And but my brother, he's been in business for probably like over 30 years, and he wants me to help him dispatch his flatbeds. He currently has 9 trucks, but then he lease out like multiple trucks as well. So in the past, I really wasn't professional because it wasn't my business. They did everything, and I just did the work and start up everything. So I'm just really going to take a leap of faith. I've started investing in myself with the education and getting the things that I need. But my question is, how can I decide because I don't want to just chase down customers like as an agent. I don't have time because I still have to work currently, but I want to be able to, I still assist my brother in his business, but I want to be able to do it because he's never really had to advertise. He don't advertise. He's been in it for, like I said, over 30 years. He's old school. He's not up on technology. So how can I assist him? Because I was like, you can't do that. I'll be double brokering. You can't do that. He's like, what does that mean? But he's just in the business to make money, but he's just overworked. So I just want to figure out how can I help him and his other drivers.
So your brother's an owner operator?
Yeah, he's an owner operator. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you said that you purchased a freight agent class as well as a dispatcher course.
Yeah, I purchased both, but I just feel like I need more knowledge. So I'm just like, I don't really want to just go under. I don't know where to start. I'm kind of confused.
Okay. That's where you start. The first thing is to understand, what do you want to do? What services or what needs does your brother need? So you can be able to fill that gap for him. So if it's something that he needs that you're trying to fulfill for him, understand what it is that he needs. Does he need you to go after loads for him? Does he need you to contact shippers for him? Either way it's going to be you going after customers. As a dispatcher, we go after customers. As
Well, he
freight
don't have,
agents, we go after customers.
yeah, he don't have like he's been in, I mean, business so long. He don't even use a load board. He pays for load boards, but he don't use them. He just, he has direct clients that always call him. I mean, I've been in the truck with him, just trying to learn the business, and he just turned away freight. And so, and I told him, I said, well, in order for me to post loads on a load board, I have to be an agent. I can't just take these loads that you're turning away and post them on and just post them. I can't do that.
Yeah. So
Can't
you
do
can't
that
do it.
anyway.
So even if you're an agent, you can't do
Can't
that
do
because that's definitely double
That's double
brokering.
brokering.
That is
Mhm.
the definition of double brokering.
Yep, that's
Definitely.
what I told
Anytime you
him.
see a dispatcher that says, "Hey, hit me up, I have lanes,"
Double
dispatchers cannot
broker.
have lanes. You can work with a broker to get lanes, but you cannot post and say, "I have these lanes. Call me. I have these lanes." This is why anytime I see anything in the group about someone posting about lanes, what's your MC number? What's
And
your
I
MC?
see that, and I
I need to
see
know.
that a lot, and that's what I don't want. I don't want to go to jail, and I end up I'll lose not only my be in jail, but I'll lose my healthcare. I mean, license. So
But
I was
as
like,
a
I
business
can't do that.
and as a business owner, it diminishes your brand value immediately because those of us who have
Mhm.
been in the industry long enough, or the carriers that have been in the industry, they're going to know that you don't know what you're doing right away. That's the biggest red flag when somebody says something. I'm like, whoop, I asked, I'm like, so are you a broker? Are you an agent, or are you a dispatcher?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. It's very important to know. So, I mean, if he's been in business so long where he's to the point where he has customers coming to him, then he's not needing you to dispatch for him unless he just needs you to track the trucks or, keep track of the trucks. So my thing would definitely be, what is it that you want to do? And then the second part of it is, what part does he need help with? Does he need help with compliance? What assistance exactly does he need? But the first thing is to understand, what do you want to do? Do you want to go into dispatching? Do you want to be a freight agent? Maybe you want to be an agent under someone else instead of going straight into brokerage. So, you just kind of sit back for a second and figure out, what angle do you want to go in first? I always tell people to start out with dispatching, not necessarily saying that you have to end up being a dispatcher forever, but dispatching teaches you the logo. It teaches you lanes. It kind of is the entry level into transportation to get you the experience and knowledge that you need, because you deal with brokers, you deal with shippers, and you're also going to deal with carriers. From there, you can kind of get an understanding, maybe I don't want to do this, maybe I do want to be more of a freight agent. But you kind of have to figure out, what's your next step? What is it that you want to do? What do you have time for? What's your niche? Are you good with customer service? Are you good with talking to people? Figure it out where you want to go first. And that way, once you determine what it is, what angle you want to go in, you can better assist your brother and others.
Correct. And most of the time when people are looking for broker agents, we're looking for dispatchers. Every broker agent that I've brought onto my team is a dispatcher. And they currently are dispatching and they're agents with my team, because dispatchers make the best agents for two reasons. One, most of my hotshot freight is ran by one of my agents who owns her own hotshot company. So she is going and prospecting under my business and my brand, getting hotshot freight, and then running it with her transportation company. And that is a really good way when some of you get to that point where you're like, dispatching isn't really for me. I want to make more money. That's why I dispatched long before I started brokering. But it was just because I was like, oh, I can do this. This is fun. It was a challenge to me. I knew somebody that needed me to do it. And that's how I learned. But when I became a broker agent and I started making a lot more money, I was like, oh, okay, I can do both. I can go get the freight as an agent, and then I can use the trucks that I dispatch for to move the freight. So you're getting paid from off both sides. It's really a win-win.
Absolutely. I'm an agent and a dispatcher. And I do
I'm an agent and a dispatcher. So
I
most of us
did not
are.
want to go into a full-fledged brokerage. I just didn't feel like it was for me at the time. So, you don't have to always just go into the part where you feel like, oh, I'm just going to be the boss.
Start a brokerage, right?
I do very good on that side of town because I know the carriers. I know, half of the shippers that I've been dealing with. So you just have to determine, what works for you and what angle you want to go in. And just know that it's not permanent. It's not like, okay, I've taken this dispatch class. I've been dispatching for 6 months. I got to stay here.
No.
What's next? Add to your services. You've got to continue to always add to your services.
So would you guys then recommend to start as the agent as opposed to just a broker, once you take the class? Because I'm actually thinking about doing that myself. So would you highly recommend working once you've taken the class, just work as an agent first to kind of get that experience before you decide to go off on being a freight broker? Yes.
For me, I would say yes.
Okay.
We're
for me,
on the broker
so
side, I'm on the agent side.
Okay.
And so I run a brokerage and my answer is still yes.
Okay.
Right? I don't suggest that anyone start a brokerage without having some type of dispatching and now you can, trust me, you can.
Yeah.
But it's going to be challenging.
Okay.
If you want to set yourself up for success, learn how to dispatch. Even if you dispatch for a month or two, right?
Yeah.
Learn how to dispatch. You could dispatch for a month and at least get the basic lingo. So you know how to track and trace, right? You know the basics of a carrier packet. You know if somebody's trying to get over on you. Then go into the broker agent. So then you can understand, okay, this is how I talk with and communicate with customers. This is how I handle from prospecting to payment. Then go into potentially starting a brokerage because I spend most of my days managing people and things, right?
Okay.
I broker freight. I still have my own book of business, but most of my day is not, I don't even have time to prospect. I'm answering questions for my agent. And now when you're doing the broker model and you start and it's just you, you're everything. You're carrier compliance, you're accounting, you're billing. So having one customer, you're like, oh my gosh, one load, it gets to be a lot. So the way my business is structured is that when I first started, I was the agent. I was the only person that brought in the book of business and I built out around me, right? I was the point and I built around me. So I built booking agents. I added other broker agents. I'm now going into year 2 where I'm building out my carrier compliance department, someone who just specifically sources that. But in the beginning, it's you.
Right.
It's you trying to find freight on your own, trying to find carriers to move that freight. So I wouldn't put more on, honestly. I think all the time, like whenever my team starts not doing what they're supposed to, I'm like, I'm gonna shut all this down and I'm gonna go to Nolan and be an agent. They've been prospecting me for months. I'm gonna take my book of business and go to Nolan.
Yeah. So I do listen. I listen and I tell you, I'm really, after taking Tawana's class, like I said, that was the first time of actually taking, because I like to just kind of get that foundation and I've been doing that and I'm learning and she's got a platform. The ladies are really great to answer questions. So I learned to listen because I don't need to make the same mistakes that anybody has already made. So what I need to know, so when you do that, are you able to, based on the agreement that you have with that broker or brokerage, are you able to take your book of business with you that you're building as a agent, or you have to leave it on the table?
It really depends on who you work for.
Contract.
And your contract. And you can negotiate that. So with my agents, I let them take their book of business. I don't want your book of business. Because you built it, it's yours. Listen, because what happens is you leave. I couldn't work at another brokerage for 6 months after I stopped working at my other brokerage. They not to compete. I can't ever work for any of the companies we did business with ever. I can't circle back and join any of the carriers that I spent years building relationships with. Nothing. So if you are going to go into agency, I would pick a smaller agency that's going to be a little bit more flexible. And that will care about, pouring into you and not just how much revenue you're going to make.
That makes sense. I appreciate
I hope that answers. So I want to answer Daria's question because she's had her hand raised for a while and she had asked, she said, I'm just starting off. My father owns a rig and a flatbed. He has an agent that doesn't do a good job finding freight. I don't know where to start. Tawana, I don't know if you want to, I know we touched on this with other people, but you know, it seems like he needs somebody to help him find freight. So where I would start is,
Daria, unmute yourself.
yes, Daria.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
Hey.
So you said he has an agent that doesn't, so he has a dispatcher?
She's an agent. So you did answer a lot of my questions. I've been taking notes over here. He has been driving trucks probably for about 39 years. Owner operator, probably about 15 to 16 years. He purchased his truck and trailer. He has someone that's local that usually finds loads for him, but I don't think she does a good job. And I have been doing research. I've been doing a lot of reading and talking with him and my mom. Since my mom retired probably about 2 years ago, I've been trying to get her into it as well, just to kind of do a better job at finding freight for him. And he does want to purchase another truck soon. But like one of the other ladies talked about, her brother, who's been in trucking business for a long time as well. He's old school, really, really old school. So I'm trying to put him onto technology and different things. They're stuck in their ways when they're old school. They don't know about social media and LinkedIn and different things. So this new year is coming. I'm looking for new beginnings, and I am looking for some assistance. I have looked at the courses that you guys are offering. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm paying for the right course as well before I purchase and make sure I'm going in the right direction.
So
Yeah,
I will tell you
absolutely.
this. Go ahead, Tawana, because I send all my people to Tawana. So
Okay.
anybody that reaches out to me and they have a consult and they're like, look, I want to dispatch, I'm like, take Tawana's course just so you can get the information you need and get rolling.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Got you.
My advice would be, with whoever's course that you take, do some
Mhm.
research. I
Okay.
get so many people that take my class or take other classes. You'd be surprised how many people come into my class, and my class is the third or fourth class they've taken.
Okay.
So do research on whoever. That goes to anybody
Mhm.
on here. Whoever's classes you're taking, do research. Do Google them. Go on LinkedIn. Find out what these people actually know. If they just taken a class in January and they're teaching classes in March, that may not be the class for you. It sounds like, you got the perfect client.
Exactly.
So I would definitely get into dispatching, learn what you need to know about dispatching. And from there, I would start reaching out to shippers for him, because he's got longevity. He's got, and then start building his brand, build his capability statement, help him build his brand so that you can start reaching more out to shippers. Because, he has that he has what every, shipper and brokers are looking for. He's been in the business, I don't, know how, what his safer scores and stuff like that look like, but build that capability statement for him and start selling him to more shippers, and getting out there and getting him more of dedicated loads. If he has someone that's not working for him right now, then yeah, I would definitely, figure out, if this is a step that you want to take in 2022, get into a class, learn what you need to learn. And then from there, I would definitely start reaching out to shippers. A client like that would come to me, my main focus would be trying to secure him dedicated freight, because he has that great resume. You know what I'm saying? He's been doing this for a while. He's not new to this. He understands the lanes. He understands the market. He probably has great safer scores. So marketing him directly to shippers may definitely be a good angle to get him dedicated freight, where he doesn't have to worry about an agent or a dispatcher or a load board.
Okay. When you say LinkedIn, is that I came on a little late because I was trying to find the link. Do you recommend LinkedIn as another marketing way, as another way to communicate or to link up with the different agents and dispatchers and brokers? This is my first time on a call. Like I said, I've been doing research. I'm in Texas, and they're in Louisiana, but 2 people in Texas have referred me to you, and a third one just responded to my message and told me about your classes and how helpful it was. So I think I'm going to yes, they do like you. Lots of people are talking about you. Think I'm going to make a move on your program, but I just want to make sure that I'm headed in the right direction. So just to make sure, I'm trying to put him on game, because he's been in long enough, and I don't know, I just don't like the way she moves freight when she wants to move freight, and I don't like that. So just trying to be on to some new things.
But in the
Yeah.
meantime, you want to send him on over to Gold Star. We'll take his picture.
Okay, no, serious. I actually have him listening. He's listening, so we'll be in touch with you. I just wanted to make sure that that I was, on the right call and that I can go to the right place and move on.
Yeah.
You definitely have to have somebody on your team. When you're dealing with someone like that, you have to have somebody on your team that's going to speak on your behalf.
Okay.
And Shay does it as well as myself, where we're speaking on that courier's behalf. So one thing about dispatches, when you're going to shippers, and I know I always say an hour, but this is getting good, y'all. And we want to make sure we get to all y'all questions. But when you're going to shippers about dedicated freight, you are going on behalf of the carrier. You cannot step to a shipper and say, I got 20 trucks. Can you give me some loads? You don't have 20 trucks. All 20 of them trucks is not under one MC. So you can't get dedicated freight for 20 trucks that you do not own. You have to speak on behalf of that carrier, on that MC. So you have to speak to that carrier and say, look, I got this guy, he's been in business for such and such years. Here's his safest scores. He understands the market. He understands this, he understands that. What can we do with these lanes? How can we work out these rates? Give me 2 or 3 lanes, or, let's work us out for the next 30 days and see how this works out. You understand? So you have to be able to advertise and market that guy. And we still, as dispatchers, you still have your rate that you get on a monthly basis for that dedicated lane, because you're the one that went in and marketed, you're the ones that went and negotiated, and you're the one that manages that contract. So it may not be the 10% per load, but you're still able to get, 2 to 5% per load, depending on what type of contract that you market, or what type of contract that you negotiated for that carrier. So you got to understand that carrier's needs so that you can go out there and you market him to a shipper, market him to a Coca-Cola, market him to someone that's moving these loads, and he doesn't have to worry about no load board. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you know exactly where he's going and what time he need to be there.
Okay.
Yep. And you asked about LinkedIn. I would set up your LinkedIn personal profile and put your position as carrier consultant for his trucking company, and then set up a professional page that's linked to your page that you run, even if you post on it once a week. Just have some professional platform on LinkedIn for that transportation company, and put that, like, we are a 35-year-old business local here in whatever part of Texas. People reach out to me all the time because they're like, you're here in McDonough? I didn't even know you were here. Oh, it's another woman-owned company besides Bennett? I'm like, sure is. Because everybody goes, there's another woman-owned trucking company. And I'm like, hey, I'm an MBE. Bennett isn't. So, I mean, what's up? So utilize that to market yourself too, and you'll get some of those opportunities, and start posting. It can be as simple as, my biggest customer came from a LinkedIn, two of my biggest customers, over 6-figure contracts, came from a 9-second video I posted on LinkedIn of me walking through a warehouse, just saying, have a happy Friday. I just started. It was like 2 weeks after my business started. And I was like, happy Friday. Hope you all are chasing your dreams. That, and then we posted a picture in front of one of our trucks. So get some pictures posted in front of the trucks. People are looking for capacity, whether it's brokers, freight forwarders, or shippers, and they'll find you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is, sorry.
No, there's, go ahead.
My name's MJ, and I've been listening to you ladies. I've been a dispatcher for 20 years, but I've dispatched with some of the top companies in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the downfall is I've been let go for some of the top companies. But in regard to their issues with finances. And 2019, I opened up my dispatch company. So what happened to me just recently, and now I've stepped out, I ran into y'all's ad on Eventbrite, just trying to get out there and see if there's other people that's in the same position, having the same position or whatever. How can I get more educated in my career and expand my company? The actual client called me, and I don't even know how he heard about me, but he heard that I had so many different types of trucks in Dallas, Fort Worth. They're not mine, but they're owner operators and carriers. I did admin work for dispatch and everything else. So I ended up, he ran into me. I don't know how he got my information, but a lot of my owner operators are doing his dedicated clients. How do I get out to these shippers
and let them know that I have these trucks available, these carriers who are here, because it's not just driving that I dispatch. I have heavy haul, box trucks, cargo, and then it's going as far as Philadelphia and New York, where people are contacting me. But I have this one dedicated, well, I take that back, I'm sorry. I have 3 dedicated shippers for them, and I'm trying to get out there to find more for the other type of carriers that I have.
Okay.
So that's my question.
Okay, so one, you sound like you have a ton of experience. So you can market to those carriers, to those shippers. Just like I said, be careful, because you're not marketing them as they are grouped under one MC. So you can go to a carrier and say, I see you have such and such lanes available. I do have a few trucks that I'm working with. And just keep in mind that all of those contracts are going to be totally separate contracts, because they have to be separate per MC. So you can, you just have to figure out what the pricing is going to be, how many trucks you're marketing at one time, and, lay out your negotiation with those shippers. But you, just like I said, you can definitely go to these shippers to negotiate these rates for your clients. And that becomes your contract. And they have to understand in that contract that as long as you're on this dedicated lane that I negotiated for you, every single month, I'm going to invoice you for 2%, 3%, whatever your percentage is going to be. Okay, because that's a contract that you worked on, that's a contract that you build, and that's how they're doing their work. So, build your clientele, build your relationships with those shippers, make sure your paperwork is intact as far as your contracts. And definitely market, if you have the carriers available, market those carriers to those shippers. Get your capability statement together and reach out to these shippers, get on LinkedIn, reach out to these shippers and market the carriers that you have relationships with. I'm pretty sure Shay has something.
Yeah, and another good way for you specifically to market is making sure you have a Google My Business, if you don't have one already. And if you do, make sure that when it puts areas that you service, put those cities that your carriers are in. Because when people are searching for transportation companies, you'll pop up in the search. So whenever people are searching for intermodal, drayage, flatbed, hotshots, in my area, my business comes up because I use those keywords in my Google My Business profile. Also, you should utilize unpaid media or press in whatever area you are trying to. So say Philadelphia, because I'm from Philly. So use unpaid media or press to build brand awareness in other areas. So if you're in Dallas, Fort Worth, which we can talk, if you have anybody that does power only, I have a customer there that I do. I have anywhere from 20 to 40 lanes. Yeah. So we definitely can talk in terms of that in that area, because it's just high volume right now, especially with retail customers. But utilize unpaid media. So you can easily reach out to different news sources locally in their areas and pitch like, look, we're a transportation company, we're doing business in the area, we're woman owned, pitch an article about yourself or connect with those people, because if they write articles about you, you can kind of build your brand awareness in other areas besides just where you live. And then like Tawana said, use LinkedIn. So we had a lot more questions on here in the chat, Tawana.
Here with Miss Portia, her hand has been raised.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, y'all, I'm Portia. I dispatched I have a different question than the one I put in the chat, but just real quick. I have 2 flatbed trucks. What systems do y'all use to stay organized? Because I find at the end of the week, I'm going through emails, trying to find the rate con and match it with the BOL. And like this, I feel like I'm missing something. And I'm completely new, first time. I never had any actual training. It was another person that was doing it. She kind of taught me. And now, I have these 2 flatbeds, but I feel like I'm missing something. Like, is there a system? I just heard about invoicing. Someone said something about invoicing. What systems do y'all use to stay organized?
So for me, my TMS systems I use is Interportal. It helps because, like you said, you're trying to match this and that and this. I'll kind of do a quick screen share for you guys because it's hard to explain if you don't see it. But I use Interportal. The reason why I like Interportal, and there are thousands of TMS systems out there. You just have to figure out which one works best for you. You could go and do, a search on TMS. So you got ITS Dispatch, you got Send. Just figure out, which TMS system is going to work for you, especially financially, because they range. They can go from $49 to like $400 a month. Okay. But one thing I like about Interportal is, let me see if I can share my screen, is so based on the load. So if I picked any one of my clients from anywhere, everything is, well, this is a bad example. Everything is stored on the cloud, and everything is, I don't have to worry about, looking for anything. So as far as a rate confirmation, there's his rate confirmation. So if a client calls me and says, hey, I'm being audited, I need my rate confirmation from such and such and my BOLs, I can easily re-email him, or he can log into his own portal and do this. And then as far as the delivery, the BOL, okay, so these are very poor examples. No.
Well, we see it.
Let's do another one. And it stores it in here like forever. So some TMS systems have different types of features. So you just have to understand what type of features are you looking for, and then again, here's the BOL, and it's
What's
stored in
TMS?
here forever. TMS stands for Transportation Management Software.
Okay.
Okay, so that's basically what you're looking for. You're looking for something to manage your day. So for us with Interportal, everything is here for us. What loads are in process right now. These are the loads that are moving right now. What loads have been completed. When I go to invoice my drivers, you click here and there's your invoice. It lets you know invoice paid. So it keeps everything there for me. So pick what TMS system is going to work for you, but definitely a TMS system is a definitely good way to go. That organization plays a big part in dispatching. We gotta be as organized as we possibly can. That's a big part of our day. And these carriers are not organized. They're gonna come back to you and ask you for something. I promise you. I promise you. I had a carrier who needed 30 days worth of Raycons. And it was easy for me to give him a username and password, log into Interportal, and get all your information and pull it out and print it and download it yourself.
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you so much. I feel like that's one of the things that I'm missing. I appreciate that.
No problem. Miss Leona?
Yes, hello.
Hey.
Good evening, everybody. All right, so I'm just looking for like marketing strategies. I guess for the past couple of weeks, I kind of found my niche, and that's like safety and compliance. Just real quick with dispatching, I started off with the good energy dispatching course, and I took Miss Tawana's course as well. So happy excited about that. But now I found myself, as I'm educating myself, I'm starting to drop carriers left and right because they don't want to follow the rules. And I'm studying, and that all comes back from I'm certified in medical billing. I was a medical claims auditor, did that for 10 to 15 years for third party companies. So with that, I'm just applying that knowledge and that methodology over to here. Like what I want to do, and I will get back to dispatching, but what I want to do is be so good at safety and compliance and knowledge to where that's what makes my dispatching company stand out from everybody else. So the LinkedIn was good, but just like more marketing strategies in regards to that, because I'm learning a lot from these carriers too. Like one carrier, I had to drop her because I learned this from Miss Tawana. All box truck dimensions are not the same. And I before I even did anything for her, I'm like, are you sure these are the dimensions? Are you sure these are the dimensions? She said, yes. Once the husband gave it to me, because he was driving the truck for months, non-CDL driver. And he gave me the dimensions. Long story short, book the load for them. They pick up 2 U boxes, and it couldn't fit on the truck because they gave me the wrong dimensions. Mm-hmm. And so once I had
You'd be
that
surprised
issue,
how many carriers don't know the dimensions of their truck. I'd be
they
like, what's your
don't.
dimensions of your truck? It's a 26 foot. That tells me nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
So
Nothing.
I'm just because I know what I want to do now. I'm very good at because that's what I did at my old jobs. Like I worked for a third party accounts receivables company who clients were hospitals, and I knew contracts between the hospitals and insurance companies like the top of my head, and I worked in the appeals department and auditing. Like I'm really good at that, like knowing the rules. Like I'm starting to know the safety and regulations book off the back of my hand. I'm learning a lot. So just trying to move forward with that, with marketing strategies to make myself stand out there.
I will tell you this, all dispatchers should know safety. So
Yeah.
that shouldn't only be a niche, but that should be a requirement. Because a driver is going to ask you, the first thing a carrier is going to do is go to their dispatcher and ask their dispatcher a question. You know what I'm saying? They're going to ask you, because if I ask everyone right now on this call, what is happening with the FMCSA with CDL drivers on February 7th of 2022? Drop it in the chat. Anybody know? February 2nd, or say it out loud. February 7th of 2022, what is changing with CDL requirements for the FMCSA?
I think the classes.
Education.
Yeah. Like how long they have to be in class, and the hours are changed, and like how long they have to be in class for it. Yeah. So.
Yes. Okay. So the hours of services are changing, and as well as if you do not have at least your class B by February 2nd of 2022, you better go get the permit before then, or it's going to be totally different for you to actually be able to obtain a CDL. Not only do you have to go to CDL school, but you now have to go to the FMCSA training as well before you can get an authority. Okay. So a lot of times I ask dispatchers this and they have no idea. You should all be subscribed to the FMCSA. You should all be subscribed to freightwaves.com. You should all be subscribed to overdrive.com. DAT's blog is really good. This is how you get your information. This is what sets you apart. If a carrier is asking you information as their dispatcher and you do not know, then you're not a full service dispatch. You don't know. If someone says to you, what's this thing I keep getting about my UCR? What do UCRs do? Is UCR due for everyone, or is it just due for certain people? It's due for every single person at the same exact time. The same exact time. I had a carrier the other day come to me and say, hey, my old dispatcher said I need to renew my BCO3. What? No, you don't. It's one time. Once you get it, you got it. It's the UCR that needs to be renewed. It's your SCAD that needs to be renewed. Have you updated your MCS 150? Do you even know as a dispatcher what an MCS 150 is? So don't say you're a full service dispatcher and you know nothing about safety. You know nothing about compliance, or you can't answer simple questions for your driver. Those are very important, because the first thing, if you're my dispatcher and I'm paying you 10%, I'm coming to you. Hey, such and such, I just got pulled over for DAT by DOT and they asked me such and such. They're going to ask you, you need to know. So those, different links that I showed you, if you're not subscribing to the FMCSA, not saying you have to go and read the FMCSA, it's a lot, but they're going to send you different things. They're going to send you changes. They're going to let you know. 9 times out of 10, the carriers do not know. They don't know. So you have to be up to date. You have to understand safety. You have to understand these changes to be able to explain it to them. Certain times you come after January or February, you realize you're trying to figure out what happened. Where's all your clients? Where they gone? They're not in compliance anymore, which means they're not in business anymore, which means their MC is no longer active because they either did something wrong, they forgot to do something, they didn't respond to their audit, or whatever the case may be. I have a calendar that lets me know when someone's SCAD is due, when I need to update their MCS 150. So even if they're not a client of mine as far as compliance, I can remind them. Like right now, that's all we've been doing is reminding people about their UCRs. Oh, I didn't know I had to do that. Can you do it for me? Absolutely, I'll do that for you and send you an invoice. Okay, so don't just, you're not just in the business to find the loads. You got to understand so much more than that. So, being a specialist or having a niche in safety is definitely important. And because a lot of these drivers do not know, and this you're going to be your job. Send them a quick little newsletter, send them a weekly update, send them something to let them know that they're just not a 10% for you. They're more than that as far as a client. Okay. I hate to mispronounce people. Mary
MJ.
MJ. Hey, MJ.
I've
question.
already spoken.
Oh, okay.
My son's been trying to take my hand down, but it ain't been working. So.
Oh, okay. I took it down for you. Let's see. Let me just go through these questions right quick. Anybody else? I don't want to miss any questions on here. It's a lot on here. What system do you use to stay organized and invoice? Okay, I just answered that one. Tawana is the thank you, Shay. Really good information about any other questions. Anybody have any other questions before we give our final thoughts and let you guys go for the night? Okay, freight waste overjoyed. Yep, absolutely. Sharona, thank you for dropping that. So Shay, drop some final knowledge on my team, on these beautiful ladies, and I think 1 or 2 men for the evening. What's your last words?
Let me tell you this. 5 quick ways that you can build a relationship, establish a relationship with a broker. Make sure that first impression is everything. When you call me, listen, call me like you're calling your granny. I want to hear us. Don't put your day on me, right? When I answer the phone, I say, we're having a great day. Be pleasant. Your first impression is everything. I'm deciding in those first couple seconds if I can trust you with my freight. Make sure that you utilize the technology, like the systems that Tawana has, to be able to communicate with us more efficiently. I love it when I get tracking links for carriers. I don't even have to talk to the dispatcher. I can see where my freight's at. They just send me the Keep Trucking. If your drivers don't have Keep Trucking, you can reach out to me. I can get them free equipment. Make sure that if your driver is unsatisfactory or they have a poor rating, have a safety letter already ready to go. That will show me that your carrier is being proactive. I have carriers reach out who are unsatisfactory. I normally don't work with them. However, when I have a dispatcher that says, look, you know, this was an old dispatcher, we have a safety program going forward, here's a letter showing what we're doing going forward. That means a lot. That shows that you're taking this initiative and that you want to do better. Make sure that your carrier's information is updated in FMCSA, right? If I'm going in FMCSA, it's got undeliverable mail. Your email is different than their email. They're not answering. Looks like a scam to me. So make sure that you are doing whatever you can to make sure that your carrier is in position to where their business is professional and showing a great first impression. Also, if you really want to stand out with a broker, the best way to do it is to leave them a DAT directory review. When you leave a review, we get a notification that you've left us a review. That is 100% surefire way to get that load again, because now you make me look good in front of other carriers. Okay. So I hope you guys learned a lot today. Yes, Azzy, it's really important to have a DUNS number. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'll tell you about that. And I do have some branding worksheets. I put the link in the comments if you guys are interested in buying it, so you guys can do it on your own. You don't have to go pay somebody $250 for a brand strategy. You literally can fill out the worksheets and come up with the strategy on your own. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram, Shay Lynn Dixon, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere at Shay Lynn Dixon. And my business is at Allegiant Logistics. So if you guys have any other questions, DM me. It might take me a little while to get back to you, but just say I was on the talk with Tawana, because if you don't, I might not respond quick enough. I might respond next month. So that's it. I appreciate all of you. And if you guys, if any of you that are left on the call, if you take a screenshot right now of this platform, take a screenshot, take a photo, post it on Instagram and tag Tawana and myself. I will be selecting one of you. I'll have Tawana post it in the group, or I will share it on Instagram and tag you. I will select one of you for a complimentary 30-minute brand audit. I'll go over your brand. I'll give you tips for Instagram, tips for LinkedIn. Make sure that you guys also take time to leave Tawana and myself a Google review. That really helps. Look, we just want to share the information, and it really, really benefits us. And you can find that in my link tree as well. So I appreciate y'all for having me. I hope you learned something.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
All right. I just want real quick, Miss Tanisha Wortham, where are you?
I'm here.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
You said something. You said I've been Googling that question for 2 months. What question was that?
Can you be a broker and a dispatcher at the same time? So somebody came in and asked the question and y'all just took it to the next level and broke it down. So I really, really appreciate you ladies.
I was
came
gonna call
in
you, Tanisha.
about a month ago and I seen you ladies and I've been just researching since then. So I really appreciate you ladies.
Oh, that's dope. One other thing I'm not sure that we mentioned, if you do plan on doing that, be sure you separate the LLCs.
Yes.
You do not want to have your brokerage and your carrier and your dispatching company all under one umbrella. It does not look good. It looks like you're trying to double broker. So, if anybody that, knows me as far as being a freight agent, my business is quality first logistics. Dispatching is Gold Star Logistics, and carrier is Bonner Logistics. So nothing is the same, and none of them have the same address. So
Thank
that's
you.
just one thing I'm not sure that we said. So just be sure that you do that as well.
And if you're an agent, you don't have to have an LLC because you're running under the broker's authority. So
Right.
as an agent, you don't, but if you do have your brokerage, you do. So awesome. I appreciate you for having me, Tawana.
Oh, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you ladies for joining. I really hope we said 1 or 2 things that can help you, make some decisions or make some changes in your business. It's all about growth. It's all about growth. It's all about growth. I got 2 great people that I'm bringing to finish off December's Talk Dispatch. So that link will be posted soon. But thank you, ladies, for investing some time into your own business. My mentor asks me all the time, why don't you charge for that? And it's because there's a million things out there that I charge for. There's a million things out there that people charge for. But sometimes you've got to invest in other people. You've got to be able to give them something that's going to help them, because it'll come back to you. So even in your own businesses, understand that every single thing that you do, at some point, you got to help somebody else. You got to be able to reach back and give to someone else, and invest and encourage, even if it's just words of encouragement. But that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will get the recording posted so you can go back and look at it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page as well. But I appreciate you ladies and you gentlemen. I hope it was helpful. Shay, as always, I appreciate you. If you ladies are in Atlanta, Shay and I are planning 2022 out of this world. Even if you're not in Atlanta, y'all can always do like a little road trip. But we got events. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. But thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you and your success. Have a good one.